Welcome back to Monday Morning Motorsports. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Kelly's dad, Scott.
And we're back this week talking about the Darlington Spring Race. IndyCar and F1 were both off this weekend, so it is just NASCAR at Darlington.
The Goodyear 400.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to start out with saying, for nostalgic purposes, this was a great start to the race. I forgot how much I missed DW saying boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Now that you mentioned that, that wasn't one of the things I thought I'd missed, but I actually enjoyed it when he did his boogie boogie. Darlington is probably my favorite track on the series. Uh, It's just old-fashioned NASCAR racing, tire burning up,
Mm-hmm.
conservation, have to actually have a little strategy behind what you're doing. So while I wouldn't call this a banger race,
Yeah.
it's still, I felt that the best drivers and the best cars, for the most part, made it to the front of the field by the end.
Yeah.
There are a couple people that had damaged cars that didn't quite recover, but we'll get
Mhm.
into that a little bit later. So nostalgia, yes, they didn't have all the throwback paint schemes. Only a couple were out there, but still, it's Darlington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looked packed.
Yes, it looked packed. Yes. Actually, one of my old series sponsors from Asbestos, Terry Turner, was at the race. He and his wife were out in South Carolina and they made it to the race. They said it was a little warm.
Imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, now this weather forecast segment, so we can get sponsor for the weather portion of this.
Right, moving on.
Yes.
I think a lot of our commentary really this week is more team focused rather than driver focused.
Yes, I think so. I think so. So the very first, well, I had two notes.
Okay.
My first one in here was, Reddick battery problems early on, and then he started complaining about the brakes, and that's probably because they didn't have the coolers on and whatnot. And to not lose a lap on pit road, changing the battery
Yeah.
in that car is phenomenal work on their part. And then, of course, it's a hot day, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
And, some would say that the drivers are spoiled compared to the
Their
old
cool
days with their
suits
cool
and
suits
air
and all that.
conditioning.
But the old cars weren't all sealed up like
Yeah.
these are. And so, it was hot in that car. It's probably 130 degrees in that car while he was racing. And then that water, as you saw during the race, he was pumping the water out of his cool suit because that water just gets hotter and hotter and hotter throughout the race. So great job by Tyler Reddick. In my foolish father bets, I called him Kyle Reddick. I don't know why. I was literally reading it off a piece of paper.
I wasn't here to correct him.
Anyway,
Why I can't take him anywhere.
so that was number one that I had as far as teams. And then the number two was,
Well, and I think on the 2311 topic, Bubba
oh,
Wallace ended up not finishing where his car was capable of because of the damage. So I think that team again showed up really well. Results
yes.
may not have indicated it. It was another good weekend for 2311.
Denny Hamlin ran into Eric Jones and followed both those cars up. And Bubba Wallace didn't have enough time to woe up and got in the back of Denny Hamlin, absolutely ruining his car for the rest of the day. Sorry, I stole your thunder there, but go
That's
ahead.
okay. That's what I had on 2311. Again, that third driver, kind of forgettable to me.
Yeah, he didn't do anything that we needed to note for this race. I think Kyle Busch, I might be starting to have conversations with Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan about next year.
That's an
And
interesting idea.
well, he's out of contract at the end of the year. I don't think he's very happy at RCR. They're not
They're,
giving him good equipment.
no, they're not going anywhere right now.
And he still has talent. I mean, he showed that last week in the truck race. He
Right.
just dominated like old Kyle Busch that we're used to seeing. So I'm just throwing that out there. You heard it here first. All two of you subscribers out there, we appreciate each and every one of you.
Okay, moving on. Next team.
Ryan Blaney, what is going on with their pit stops?
That was my next note was, yeah, Blaney's pit crew. I was shocked how calm his radio call was after the first stop.
Well, I think we're seeing the new Ryan Blaney. I kind of actually miss the old, colorful Ryan Blaney.
I think it's still in there. I
Oh, it's
think
still in there because we heard it after two bad pit stops and going in for
Phoenix.
the third one at Phoenix. We heard very clear and explicit instructions to his team.
To
Something about keeping
not
track position. Yes. So that is still out there. But oh my God. And what a great drive back though for him.
again, and the fact that he had to do it twice in 3 weeks.
Yes.
And on the Penske topic, Cindric finally put together a full race. We talked about before that he's had a fair amount of stage points that he's accumulated, but he's had terrible finishes.
Mostly getting
And
caught
since
up in other people's messes. I mean, I haven't seen anything that I said, well, Austin Cindric got himself into that problem. So
he finally finished fifth this race, and it's like, okay, that's kind of more what we expect from Penske. Joey Logano's race was not what we expect from Penske, but
or from Joey Logano at Darlington.
I don't know how two Penske teammates ended up in the top five, and Joey had such a bad day.
Obviously, they completely missed the setup. I almost wonder if it wasn't so much a missed setup that something wasn't right with the car, was disconnected or connected incorrectly. I don't know. For them to be that far off, yes, they don't have a lot of practice. Yes, it's a new short track downforce package. Yes, new right side tires that they had at the track. Yes to all that. But as you said, two teammates hit it. And Joey Logano at that track is usually spot on, one of the favorites to win the race. And he was nowhere to be found. He was
And multiple
awful.
laps down.
Yes, he was awful.
Yeah.
So, all right.
My next note was that this was a good weekend for RFK. Second weekend in a row, it felt like they showed up as a whole group, not just one driver having a good weekend, but whole team had a good
Yeah.
weekend. Some of that's not surprising in that I feel like they have some more kind of veteran drivers as a whole. And we've talked about before that this is a track that favors
But they haven't
those
had the
drivers.
equipment.
But right. And it feels like maybe that's starting to come. And they qualified better. And so then they weren't fighting through the pack the whole day like they have been. So I was impressed that, okay, now we've had two good weekends in a row for them.
With different packages.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, oh, we bought the same package from Las Vegas to Arlington. It's a different package. So two, as you said, two races in a row. Keselowski was outstanding. Buescher was good until his car got damaged with a little miscommunication with Tyler Reddick
Right.
going into the pits and got rammed by Tyler Reddick. Those two have a history at Darlington. I put down a note. Will there be payback? A couple of years ago, Chris Buescher was not very happy with Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick already had a win. Chris Buescher needed one to get in the playoffs. I think this was the fall race. They skirmished, and neither one of them won the race because of what was going on.
I feel like this was not as big of an issue or incident.
I also think the RFK team took responsibility for
Yeah.
not communicating better. I would also say that the fact that we have the chase this year, points make a difference. Whereas before, winning in and all that good stuff, you could throw away races. You can't throw away any
Right.
races by trying to get revenge. That
Yeah.
might cost you points as well. So Chris Buescher, he didn't finish as well as I thought his car showed. He's still top 10.
Still finished ninth.
So very good race there. And
And
then
Preece finished 13th, so he wasn't far behind either.
he kind of faded towards the end. He was in the top 10 for a good portion of the
Yeah.
race. Now, interestingly enough, a week ago, Dale Jr. was on vacation and Keselowski was the guest host on Mo Download. And he was talking about how this change has made him more excited about racing again and has changed how teams approach each weekend. So he was talking about back in the old system, the win and you're in, he would often go to a track and like, why am I even here? Because he's already won a race, or they've given all the good stuff to one of his teammates. He knows the best he's going to run all day is 15th.
Interesting.
And it's like, what am I doing here? I'm not racing for a win. I'm just running laps. And the fact that every week is important matters. Now all of a sudden they have to have the good stuff for all the cars, and it's a different game that they're doing now. So I kind of see what he was saying now being reflected in how his team is performing overall, all three teams.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I love the fact that now to the driver, it's more interesting than it was before.
Right.
So what do you have next?
Spire finishing fourth, seventh, and then 20th. But fourth and seventh again, I mean, as your top Chevrolet running
Yes,
team,
did
I
not have
mean,
that on my bingo card.
I think that was a surprise to a lot of people. Daniel Suarez continuing to outperform all of Trackhouse. I am loving this as just a running thread through the season so far, and I'd like to see how long this keeps going. But I mean, good for him. Kind of rooting for him to keep this going just to kind of see how things play out.
And not that I can say I actually remember from 3 weeks ago, but I think Daniel Suarez was one of the drivers that we picked that would make the
Stay.
chase. That was in the chase at that point in time. That was one of the questionable people that was in the chase at that time.
Yeah.
And so very good to see him. And then Hurricane Hocevar, I think he ran a very smart race.
And
I
this
don't,
is
I don't
something that
use
we
Hocevar and smart in the same sentence very often.
I was just gonna say that's not something that we say very often, I feel like, when we're talking about him. But his car came to life at the right point in the race, and he didn't get himself into trouble.
Well, and they stayed out longer so that they'd have fresher tires at the end.
Mm.
Anyway, so I was very impressed with Hocevar. Really strong finish for the Spire.
And
Very strong. And McDowell finished 20th, I believe, and had two speeding penalties. So who knows where he would have ended up without the two speeding penalties.
that was another note that I made for this race as a whole was I feel like there were a lot of mistakes on pit road across all of the teams. And for a track that you don't want to make those mistakes on, these teams show up how I would have expected them to.
It's on both sides. It's one of the hardest tracks to get onto pit road, especially under green flag racing. Obviously, drivers made mistakes with the speeding penalties.
Overshooting
Yeah,
pit box.
overshooting pit boxes. There were, again, a lot of mistakes. And I think one of the goals that NASCAR had is with the single lug nut, you'd have fewer lug nut problems on pit road. And if anything, I feel there's like 2 or 3 times as many lug nut problems today
Mm.
than there were with the 5 lug nuts on each tire.
Yeah.
I watch the Xfinity races every week. You do not see loose lug nuts as an issue on Xfinity. Excuse me. The O'Reilly Auto Parts Xfinity Busch Grand National Series. Anyway, so I've vented on this before. I'm not a fan of the single lug nut. I don't think it's accomplishing what NASCAR was hoping it would accomplish. So let's get rid of it next year.
Go ahead.
Oh, so the other thing, well, and back to the Bubba Wallace
Mm.
running really strongly up in the top five for most of the race until they had that bad pit stop where they had a loose lug nut and they had him come back in and got it tightened up. And of course, that put him in the middle of the pack where he had
Stuff happens.
where stuff happens, and he had the privilege of running at the back of Denny Hamlin and ruining his car for the day. So that was an example of not getting a finish anywhere close to as good as the car was. But again, it speaks to how good 2311 has been this year. It's not just been Tyler Reddick, which is getting all the headlines, but Bubba Wallace has run very strongly in all the races this year.
And consistently.
And consistently, yes. That's why he's third in points.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What do you have next?
I think my last one is back to Chevrolet and what's going on with Hendrick and their continued lack of strong finishes across all
Well,
of them. And I know, the 48 is its kind of own thing right now, and that's
yeah.
separate. But even for the other three cars
Well,
to not be running all that great and not having that great of finishes, it feels like we're far enough in the season where there should have been at least one Hendrick win, something a little bit more. It will be interesting to see going to Martinsville. That's obviously a track they typically run really well at.
right.
So maybe that will kind of be a turning point for the team. It feels like they have been underperforming this season.
Well, there's a couple things that this race specifically, you had Chase Elliott that was very happy that he qualified well. And early on, ran pretty well, but not great. And then just simply faded to 15th at the end of the race. Kyle Larson ran well for a while until he hit the wall and broke something and dropped like a rock the last 10 laps of the race. So you had that. William Byron with a typical William Bryan quiet, oh, I'm in the top 10, finished eighth.
Doing his thing.
But we're back to Spire is the best Chevrolet team so far this year. Not anticipating that at the start of the season. The second thing is we're reminded a few years ago Chevrolet also had a body change. And it wasn't until about halfway through the season that the teams really got it figured out. And then at that point, they became very competitive. Toyota hasn't seen a lot of changes over the last few years, and so Toyota's been very strong. Both Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311 teams have been doing really well. And then it's the Fords that basically the Fords have been Penske.
Right.
And so you still have Ryan Blaney week in and week out.
Ryan Blaney things.
Yeah, it's interesting that RFK has made that step
Mhm.
up. And so is this a chance for RFK to kind of take advantage of Hendrick Motorsports having problems right now to score some points and
Yeah.
get them some spots in at the end in the chase? So that makes it all quite interesting to me if you're looking at team racing.
Do you have anything else on the teams?
Well, back to Joe Gibbs Racing,
Okay.
Chase Briscoe, another really good week until. And then he hit the wall late in the race and kind of like Kyle Larson, wasn't the same after that. And he just struggled. I just don't see him making the chase at this point. I really don't. Do you have where he is in points overall?
I don't have points. He ended up finishing 12th in this race, but
But he had a better car than 12. And then the only other thing I had, and you have to tip your cap, is Tyler Reddick matches the best start with 4 wins in the first 6 races. And the other two to do that, a couple guys you might have heard of, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott. So
yeah,
not
that's impressive company to be part of.
anyway, when you're watching history, you best enjoy it because it only happens maybe once a generation that you have something spectacular like this happen.
Mm.
And I've been reading in some of the forums that like NASCAR has fixed this for 2311 because of the lawsuit. Yeah. Yeah. They want 10 other teams to sue them because they're cheating for the 2311. Really, let's get real.
I feel like if anything, you want them to not do well after they sued you.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
in what world do you want that team to do well?
In the old days, they'd be tearing that car down. I can guarantee you, after each of those races, they've torn that car down. This post-race inspection for the top 5 cars typically is not a lot of fun.
Which means they've been doing a lot of that for 2311.
Yes, they have. Yes, here are all your parts. You go ahead and pick them up and now take them away. And then every so often, they'll just absolutely grab the whole car and take it back to the R&D center in North Carolina. And we want to put that on the dynamo, and we want to go put that in the wind tunnel, and we want to see what's going on with that car and why it's performing so well. Well, sometimes it's the driver. You think about what's gone on in Tyler Reddick's life in the last year, and sometimes major events like that just liberate you to be able to not worry about things that you can't control and just go out and do what you want to do and what you can do. And I think that's what we're seeing from Tyler Reddick right now.
And I think they were also disappointed with how last season went for them. And so there was a refocus on what can we do and what can we control this season to produce better results.
So between what was going on health wise with his child, whether they're going to have a charter or not, all those things weigh heavy on you. Child doing better. They survived that. They won the court case.
I think technically they settled the questions.
Well, they settled,
They
but
won
but
in
they
the
got
court
but
of
they got
public
everything
opinion.
that they wanted in the settlement. So I can't call that a win.
And I'd say they won in the court of public opinion also for some of the things that came out on the NASCAR side.
Yes. I like Jim France,
Mm.
and bless his heart, he did not want the job that he currently has at NASCAR. He was off running IMSA. Before that, he ran the tracks for International Speedway Corporation. That's where he wanted to be. Because of circumstances and whatnot, he got thrust back into the major NASCAR role. And I don't think he was paying as close attention as maybe he should have been, because that wasn't where his passion was. But they did get rid of one of the knuckleheads at NASCAR, and rightfully so. And that's where we'll leave that.
Do you have anything else from this week?
Well, not from this week, but we have Martinsville coming up.
Yep.
Again, a totally different track, but we'll have that short track package, the additional horsepower, less downforce. I'll be curious to see who has that one figured out on a completely different track once again. So again, one of the old style racetracks can be a tedious as all get out race, or it can be a banger. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a banger.
In other upcoming news, IndyCar is at Barber this coming weekend, and F1 is at Suzuka this coming weekend.
Now, Barber has been completely repaved,
Huh?
so it's a new Barber. The only reason I know that is because iRacing had to rescan it and put it into their catalog.
Hopefully they hang their mannequin better because she fell last year during practice.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes.
I don't remember her name right now, but
That was terrible. Yeah. And then there's spider statues in one of the corners also.
Barber's just an interesting track, I feel like.
Tough place to race. Good racing. I am curious as to how the new Formula One car will do at Japan, at Suzuka.
I'm wondering if there will be more passing opportunities than there were last season.
I don't think there could be fewer.
That's fair.
It was a bad race last year. Suzuka, if it's not raining, there's no passing. And based on what I saw in the first two races, I actually think we're going to see some passing. At least the Ferraris will race each other.
No one else does. I love watching the cars go through the S's there. That's one of my favorite parts of any of the F1 circuits is
Mhm.
this is at Suzuka.
So it's a very technical track, and it's one of those where the top car and driver should come right to the top, unless it's raining.
And then it's anyone's
Then
race.
even Aston Martin has a chance.
I don't know, they gotta get through a whole race first.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, maybe Cadillac has a chance in the rain.
Maybe. Those are some experienced drivers.
Some very experienced drivers, and sometimes the slow car is the best car in the rain. So, oh, we're piling on way too early in the season.
We have some good races coming up this weekend before we have a extended April break for both IndyCar and F1.
Yes. So
So-
it'll just be NASCAR after that.
All right. Well, I'm going to say we're not going to make our mid-race episode with what we've got going on this week. So,
No, we have a very large event that I am unfortunately in charge of.
which means I was voluntold to assist with said event.
Yes. So if I can get out my foolish father's bets, I will. But I don't think we're doing a big preview. This was our big preview. This what you just saw was our big preview. Oh my God. Hey, like and subscribe. And we want to thank the 2 subscribers that have come on board. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll see you after next weekend.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Might be real tired. But...
We might be real tired. Yeah, if you think we're goofy right now.
Hey, but this is a few glasses of wine in, so we at least have an excuse.
Yes. Yes. And don't drink and vod at the same time. It's just, well, how much of this am I going to cut out? That's the real question. How much of this am I going to cut out?
Okay, bye now.
We'll see you.